welcome to the Prophecy Club. Our topic today is Syria. As you know, President Trump has announced that he is pulling out of Syria. And I'm going to say right up front, in front of God and everybody, I think that, and I've said this to several of my friends, which, by the way, they agree with me, at least everyone I've discussed it with, I think that President Trump is the best president of my lifetime. I've heard other people say he may be the best president in U.S. history, and that may be true, but I can only vouch for what I've seen in my lifetime, and I think he is head and shoulders above them all. I love Ronald Reagan, but I think he is even doing a better job than Ronald Reagan. Okay, now I say that because I think he is making a mistake. Now, it's not that it's poor judgment. I believe it's the hand of God. In other words, I think, and I'm gonna say this short-wise, and then I'm going to spend the rest of the broadcast backing up and explaining how what I'm about to say relates to Bible prophecy. I think that his pulling out of Syria, and I also agree we should not be in the Middle East to a degree, also would not be in endless wars, as he is saying, so I agree with that. However, I also think our pulling out of Syria is God's hand and is part of his plan to bring America down. The short story, the short version of this is, when we pull out of Syria, then that is going to give an open door for Turkey to pull in to Syria and move troops and to get ready to invade Israel, because Israel is the target of every Muslim on the planet, whether they know it or not, like it or not, understand it or not. Their objective is to destroy their brother. It always has been, it's always going to be, and they're going to be judged very harshly for it. The second thing is, according to Stanislav Lunev, the highest-ranking Russian military officer ever to defect from Russia, when we had him in to speak back in like 1998, and I had lunch with him, he told me, he says, Stani, he said, you don't understand. He says, Russia, it was only created to destroy America. Well, there's other documents I've seen through the years that confirm that. In other words, Russia was started, now the nice way to say this is to balance the Americans or to balance the Christians, a godless nation to balance the Christian nation. And it exists to destroy America. And if you look through human history, God almost every time as there is a path where his people are being blessed, he at the same time, God raises up another path to destroy it if they step off the path. In other words, when God was raising up Israel, there was always another nation that God had prepared or that he would raise up to come in and to defeat or to bring discipline to his people. He always has another plan to bring correction if we don't stay the course. First of all, a little background, and when I make my point here, you're going to say, oh my goodness, yes, this is really important. In other words, I think I'm talking about President Trump pulling U.S. troops out of Syria is a step in the wrong direction, but I think it is the plan of God to bring America down. As you recall, I'll back up a little bit. April 15th of 2002, my wife Leslie was given a dream. We call it Arafat in the hospital. It has 7 points. That Arafat would go into the hospital and die there. Well, at the time, he wasn't even allowed outside of his compound. So for me to put on radio, send out to all of our best supporters in our magazine, that's that's how you kill a ministry. Yet, 2 years later, 11/11/04, 3:30 a.m., Arafat died in the hospital just like she was told. Then Israel will give the Palestinians a state. Point number 3, the Palestinian state will be a temporary measure to allow the Israelis time to strengthen their military. Oil will be discovered in Israel. The oil will make the Jews willing to fight for the land. Then Israel and America will go against most of the rest of the Arab world. That was April 15, 2002. Jump forward, January 22 of 2006. Now here's the part you really got to listen to. She heard the audible voice of God first speak the words, Israel refuses help to America. Those were the first words she heard. And what she was given is 7 signs to watch for. 6 of the 7, we believe, will be newspaper headlines. probably the Jerusalem Post, though we don't know that. 7 signs to watch for to the fall of America. Now, first I'll read the order that they were given to her. Then I'm going to change around the order that I think that they will happen. And I think that these is going to be, well, I've told you this before, June 14th, 2008, when I was in Amarillo, I heard the voice of God. One of the things he told me that night was, when those prophecies I gave your wife begin to come to pass, people from all directions will begin to turn and listen to your ministry. And when these start coming to pass, I suspect, at least I hope and I pray, that one of the people that will call me will be President Trump. I'd like to talk to him right now. I'd like to get him to be able to listen to me. Just thinking about this morning, I'd like to take me and my wife where I can explain to him what the prophecies say and let her voice the word of the Lord to him. But that hadn't happened yet. Anyway, but I think that these specific signs may possibly be what could get me interviewed, let's put it this way, in some very high places. This is the order she heard them. Israel refuses help to America. Catastrophe hits America. Omer ushers in Palestinian state. One of America's greatest times of need. Israel is attacked. America sends troops. Chaos reigns as Americans protest help to Israel. Then she heard my voice quoting Dimitri Duduman, it will start with an internal revolution. Now, this is the order that I believe they will be fulfilled. Omer ushers in Palestinian state. Catastrophe hits America. One of America's greatest times of need. Israel refuses help to America. Israel is attacked. America sends troops. Chaos reigns as Americans protest help to Israel. It will start with an internal revolution. Now, why does that fit in with Syria? Let's back up to what it says. It says, first of all, the picture is that Israel will give the Palestinians a state. Then, when we split Israel, God is going to split America, and there's a great earthquake right up the center of the nation, splitting America. That's my guess. That's not a thus saith the Lord. That's a guess. That's a guess. That's a guess. Please quote me accurately. 3. One of America's greatest times of need. So America cries for the world to help her in this devastating time. And our good friend Israel refuses help to America, which tells me that we splitting Israel was not something they liked, and also tells me that we have become Israel's no longer a good friend. Let's put it that way. Now, here's the point. So in this time, when America is on her knees, then Israel is attacked. America sends troops. And who would it be that would attack Israel? Well, Islam in general, but probably specifically Syria, possibly Iraq, if we have left Iraq by then, and we may, possibly the enemies from the south. However, the most likely source would be coming down from Syria. Now, right now, Syria, Lebanon, we don't have to worry about those attacking Israel too much. They're not too strong. Yes, Iran backs them up. We don't have to worry about that too much. However, now that Trump is pulling our forces out, that allows Turkey to come down on the Syrian border and now invade into Syria, and that puts them right up against Israel where they could, once they're in Syria, once Turkey has their forces in Syria, and rest assured, it's not going to be just Turkey, because Erdogan is Muslim, and Erdogan has switched Turkey from being, how should we say, a democratic nation to being a Muslim nation. And Erdogan recently has cozied up with the Russians and Vladimir Putin. Remember all the thing about they wouldn't sell, Obama would not sell Turkey the Patriot missiles it wanted and other materials, other like those stealth fighter and other things. There were some other things that we wouldn't sell them under Obama. And then Trump came along. Anyway, so we basically lost Turkey. It's still a NATO nation, but you can probably expect either it shouldn't be anymore or it's soon to leave NATO. In other words, I think that Turkey has turned from being a Western-supported nation to a Russian-supported nation, a Muslim nation, a nation that would love to attack Israel, and if they could, destroy America too. So Turkey has turned and changed sides. That's a major point of the broadcast today. I'm trying to say that Turkey has changed, and you watch. Here, I'm going to read the prophecies in just a second. Turkey will be on the side of the Russians when they attack Israel. Now, let's go back to the prophecies. Okay, so point number 5 is Israel is attacked, America sends troops. That is what causes the fall of America. Next point is chaos reigns as Americans protest help to Israel. If Israel is attacked, and if America sent troops and stood behind Israel, no problem. No problem, we would not fall. Because what is it, Genesis 12? I will bless them that bless you, and I will curse them that curse you. So the nations that bless Israel must be blessed. As long as we stand with Israel, there will be an America. But what happens is when CNN, ABC, NBC, MSNBC, New York Times, all of the other corrupt media from the left side, the communists, call them what they are, communists, when they rise up and say, what? How come we're sending troops to help Israel? Why, when we were down on our face and we called for help from the other nations, Israel didn't help us. Why should we help Israel? I can hear it now. And consequently, people begin to protest the help sent to Israel. And that's when God sees it. God sees that the heart of America has turned. Well, why has the heart of America turned? It's because their heart has we have forgotten the law of our God. We have walked away from Jesus. Consequently, we walked away from many truths, and one of them is the support of Israel, and that's our downfall, brothers and sisters. So chaos reigns as Americans protest help to Israel. Then she heard my voice, quoting Dmitri, it will start with an internal revolution started by the communists and then the Russians attack. Now, let me tie this into Bible prophecy. Here. I have to. Here's where having a radio program is a little bit of a disadvantage. I'm going to pull up a map. And I'm looking at it now on my computer. I'm going to try to describe it. This is an ancient map. It says at the top of it, the world as known to the Hebrews according to the Mosaic account. This is where the families, after the flood and after Noah's Ark and all of that, this shows where the families of the earth settled, and it has them written in. And like Magog, it shows where they settled. Dodanim, Tiraz, Riphath, Ashkenaz, Gomer, Togarmah, Tubal, Meshech, Gog, Mesha, all of it shows on the map where those nations settled. Now, the reason I want to point this out is in the eastern part of Turkey is where Togarmah settled. Now, Togarmah is what we call today Turkey. And of course, that whole area is what is now known as Turkey. So why is this important? If you go from where Togarmah settled, remember that word. If you go from where Togarmah settled, if you go straight south, you go into Iraq, what is today Iraq. If you go southeast, then you go into what is today Syria, meaning Togarmah of old is on the border of Syria today. Let me say it again. Togarmah of old is on the northern border of what we call today Syria. Why is that important? Because if you go straight north from Jerusalem, I mean dead straight north, you go up through Lebanon, up through Turkey, you pass through the Black Sea, and you arrive at Moscow. In other words, Russia. I'm about to show you these words in Scripture in just a second. Now, if Russia were to attack Israel, and we know that they will, how will they go? Well, they wouldn't pass over the Black Sea. They would go on land. They've got big, heavy equipment. That means they would come south from Moscow, which is in the western part of Russia. That has to do with the bear raising itself up on one side, meaning Russia becomes strong on one side. So the military forces would come down from Moscow. They would come down on the east side of Black Sea. They go down through Georgia and then down through eastern Turkey. They would pass right through the area of where Togarmah settled. They would go down through Syria, and then they have their choice at that point to go through Syria and invade Israel directly, which would probably be the thing that they do, or they would come down through Lebanon and then go into Israel that way. They have two different ways that they can go. But the point is, right now, the thing that is separating Russia, Togarmah, Israel, these other nations from attacking Israel is the United States. So when we pull our troops out, even though there may be only a small hand of them, right now, that is the thing that's going to clear the way for prophecy to be fulfilled. Now, what prophecy? Let's go to Ezekiel 38. This is some of the most popular, most well-known prophecies in all of the Bible. It's talking about, now this specific war is talking about Armageddon. It is not talking about World War III. I want to make that absolutely clear. This is talking about Armageddon. If I have time, I'll go in and show you several different ways and prove it. Anyway, Ezekiel 38:1. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog. Well, the land of Gog and Magog is today Russia and also eastern Turkey. The chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. Well, two word changes from Meshech is today the modern word Moscow. Three word changes from the word Tubal, or you could say the origin of the word Tobolsk, which is the number 2 most populous city in Russia, is Tobolsk. In other words, when it says Gog, Magog, chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, 4 different ways, it identifies that it's speaking about Russia. If there is one thing that all prophecy students agree on, it is that those particular words are speaking of Russia. And prophesy against him, and say, Thus saith the Lord God, Behold, I'm against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. In other words, I'm against the leader of this nation, Russia. And I will turn thee back, and I will put hooks into thy jaws. And I will bring thee forth, and all thine army, and horses, and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company, with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Now let me make a point. When it says, I will put hooks into thy jaws, when Leslie was shown in a dream, I believe it was October 28th of 2001, and she was shown where the oil flows underneath Israel, it flows in the shape of a hook, as in a fish hook. We suspect when it says, I will put hooks into thy jaws, one of the reasons that will bring bring Russia down to attack Israel at Armageddon, which is probably in the ballpark. I'm not trying to set a date. I'm just giving you an idea. 8, 10, 12 years away, somewhere in that kind of a ballpark. At that time, Russia will come down because of oil, which explains why they come back on horses and horsemen, because they're out of oil. Does that make sense? All right, let's go on. Verse 5. Persia, okay, that's Iran. We all know that Iran would be happy to attack Israel. Ethiopia, that's the folks just south of Israel. And Libya, all of those hate Israel. That's fine, no problem. With them, all of them with shield and helmet. Gomer, that is also part of Turkey, and all his bands, and the house of Togarmah. So here we have just north of Syria. Gomer is just north of Syria too. All of these nations are all just north of Israel except Ethiopia and Libya. And of course, Persia is like east. Okay, we know where that is. Now let's move on. Togarmah with the north quarters, and all his bands, and many people with thee. Be thou prepared, and prepare thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. Now, what's this saying? It's saying that for Armageddon, Russia and all of her allies, specifically Turkey, Iran, Ethiopia, Libya, and it mentions Turkey both really. It's saying the eastern Turkey as well as western Turkey are all going to come down and attack Israel. Now, my point of the broadcast today, by America pulling our troops out, allows the evil Turkey to come down, get closer to Israel, and you rest assured, they will start building their military. They will start getting everything prepared for the day, which may be only a year or so away, when they can invade Israel. Let me go back to what it was said. 1, Omer ushers in Palestinian state. So the first thing we would see is Israel would split or be split and give the Palestinians a state. Then a great earthquake, that's my guess, would hit America. Catastrophe hits America. 3 is one of America's greatest times of need, so we holler at the world for help. Israel does not help. Headline, Israel refuses help to America. Then the Muslims, all of the people that hate Israel, say, hey, wait a minute. Israel and America are not getting along. Let's attack. So then Israel is attacked. America sends troops, which is the correct thing. But then Israel, backed up with all of the communists, start protesting. Israel is attacked. America sends troops. God sees it. He sees chaos reigns as Americans protest help to Israel. So that's an obvious time when America has turned against Israel openly, publicly. So consequently, God allows Russia to take America out. Meaning, when President Trump pulls American forces out of Syria, it is going to be a dark day for America. And it is saying, my brothers and sisters, that the day of our demise, the day when America will attack, draws near. Now, let me summarize what we're saying. Headlines from January 22 of 06 say that Israel will be attacked. She'll be attacked down through Russia, Turkey, Syria, and down through there. When she's attacked, then Russia says, okay, it's time. And at that point, Russia attacks America in a surprise attack. Russia takes this as an opportunity, but Russia sees us backing Israel also as an attack on them. Why would they think that? Because when the Syrians invade, it's not just Syria. It's not just Turkey. I believe at that time, count on it. Now the Russians may not be there. They probably will be. And it may not have Russian weapons or Russia written on the side of the weapons, but rest assured, Russia's going to be backing them. I mean, right now, Russia and Turkey are becoming good friends. They're exchanging military equipment. So my point is, I think the pulling out of American forces out of Syria is opening the door for what is going to cause the fall of America. So when you see the troops pull out of Syria, understand, brothers and sisters, that's a very, very big step toward the fall of America. Now let's go on reading in Ezekiel 38. Let's continue with verse 9. Thou shalt ascend and come like a storm. Thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land, thou and all thy bands, and many people with thee. Thus saith the Lord God, it shall also come to pass, that at that same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought. And thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls, having neither bars nor gates, to take a spoil, to take a prey, and to turn thine hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited, and upon the people that are gathered out of the nations, which have gotten cattle and goods that dwell in the midst of the land. For years, part of my prayer every day is that God would give me the money to build the land of unwalled villages, to place them that are at rest, and a place for the woman to flee. Now, it took me a while to explain that last part. We'll skip that for another day. But I now believe and understand that God has called me to at least be a part building the land of unwalled villages. What's that? Well, when we hit oil in Israel, and anytime I say that, I have to give a disclaimer. I cannot guarantee we're ever going to get the money, drill for, or hit oil in Israel. Now, when we drill for and hit oil in Israel, one of the things I want to be able to say to them is, I'd like for you to give me a plot of land. And I'd like to be able to build homes, basically a whole neighborhood, a large city, and be able to bring Christians here back from around the world. And, of course, they'll be bringing the Jews back. Matter of fact, every Jew on the planet. So says Ezekiel 39:28, I believe is the verse, where it says, and I will leave none of them there. They will all be brought back. And there's other scriptures that says he's going to call them from the north, south, east, and west, talking about all of those that are called by my name, meaning Christians too. There's going to be a mass exodus out of the war-torn nations for Israel. And that's the unwalled villages. One of the things I want to do is to say, look, let's work out a deal for the oil. I want you to give me a plot of land. I want to be able to bring the Christians back from around the world to this land of unwalled villages. Now, right now, according to what Maurice Sklar saw, and he did not even know that that was on my heart to do that. And all of a sudden, here comes this prophecy. I see a vision. I see a place. And he called it the land of unwalled villages. And he says he saw it down south of Israel, south and southeast of Israel. Well, if you look down there, southeast of Israel today, it might be Petra. I don't have time to go into that, but the point is, to me, this makes perfect sense. So they come down, they attack Israel, but they decide, no, we're not going to just stop at Israel. We're going to go on down and kill those Christians that are down in the unwalled villages, which are south and southeast of Israel. Now, what do? They come to take a spoil, a prey, to turn thine hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited. So this is a city built in the desert, and upon the people that are gathered out of the nations, that's Christians from around the world, which have gotten cattle and goods. Right now, there's not much in the way of cattle in Israel at all, but you can imagine as the Christians begin to move to Israel, one of the things they're going to bring with them is cattle that dwell in the midst of the land. It all fits to me. So the point of the broadcast today, I think that Trump pulling our troops out of Syria is a major fulfillment of Bible prophecy, and unfortunately for America, it's a major, major mistake. Sounds good, but it's bad. I'm going to encourage you to get this Occult Holidays gift offer, and at least this one, get in DVD. The reason I say is because one of these days, the internet is going to go away, and if you don't have the DVDs, you won't have the information. So we put together 6 DVDs, 5 titles, valued at $160, all for a gift of just $40. That's less than $10 a DVD. First one, What's Wrong with Halloween? Dr. Jack Clooney is a ranking authority on Satanism, witchcraft, white supremacy, and other forms of occult and occult activity. He helped investigators from the FBI, CIA, OSI, Border Patrol, and dozens of police and sheriff organizations across America in occult-related crimes. The average Christian has no idea of the influence of the occult in crimes. America's Occult Holidays by Doc Marquis. Doc was raised in an Illuminati family, trained as an Illuminist, and attained the rank of Master Witch, 3rd degree. He has been a Christian since 1979 and appeared on and consulted for The Oprah Winfrey Show, The Geraldo Vera Show, Hard Copy, Inside Edition, Unsolved Mysteries. He reveals how all American holidays are designed to be used as an occult numerical pattern originating from the Illuminati. Discover the real truth behind the popular holidays like Christmas, Easter, Halloween, Valentine's Day, May Day, and other traditions of men, and learn the truth behind occult practices like trick-or-treat and May Day. Occult Holidays Revealed by Stephen Dollins. Stephen is an ex-Satanist high priest of the Church of Satan. He reveals the truth and the true origins behind Christmas, Easter, Halloween, and the world's most celebrated holidays, including is Christmas, the real birth of Jesus? Is Easter celebrating the resurrection of Christ? And what is the hidden agenda behind Halloween? The Occult in Your Living Room, also by Stephen Dollins. Stephen exposes the subtle devices used to infiltrate the homes of Christians and non-Christians alike to lure the young and the old into the practice of witchcraft and Satanism. Discover the evil truth behind today's crazes like movies, video games, and role-playing fantasy games. These devices initiate our children into the world of the occult by making evil appear to be cute, such as Teletubbies, Pokemon, and others. Vampires and Werewolves, Real or Fake? Bill Schneebelen was a voodoo priest, Wiccan high priest, 2nd degree member of the Church of Satan, a New Age guru, occultist, channeler, 90th degree Mason, and a Knight Templar, vampire initiate, and member of the Illuminati. Due to the increased media exposure of vampires, werewolves made to appear seductive, many people are becoming intrigued with evil. All 6 DVDs, 5 titles, $160 value, all for a gift of just $40 at prophecyclub.com. It's called the Occult Holidays Gift Offer, and if you order by October 25th, you'll get it in the lower 48 states by Halloween. That's the Occult Holidays Gift Offer. 6 DVDs, 5 titles, gift of $40 at prophecyclub.com.